Okay, we are going live. Let me just check if you're on live. Okay, we'll just wait a minute as more people join in.
All the best, everyone.
Okay, we are live. In fact, I'm just waiting, a couple of more people to just join into live because Sunday evening. Okay, I guess let's get started. We have, as people start joining in, just a few people have joined in, so we'll just get the discussion started. All right, I see viewers have joined in. So yeah, it's an exciting Sunday evening, and a very good evening to all the young boys and girls there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very interesting YouTube live chat with 4 incredible teenagers, as we did the last 2 times. We are living through difficult and challenging times. The pandemic has disrupted our world and almost everything as we know it, and it has changed. We believe our youth are going to be the saviors of the future. We need the youth to take charge. But what skills do the youth need to succeed in the new normal? Well, that's what we will discuss today. And joining us today for this live chat are 4 budding teenagers who have also been 1M1B future leaders and have showcased their incredible work at the United Nations in New York. So welcome Ira, Nikita, Sanjana, and Rishi. I would like each of you to do a short introduction about yourself. So let's start with Ira.
So, hi everyone, I'm Ira Avlekar. I'm a 1M1B future leader and I go to NPSI Singapore. So I was a part of the 1M1B Future Leaders program in 2018, and I went to the UN as a part of the program in 2019 January. So my Project Cheer Up, revolves around bringing positivity and cheer to the lives of children with cancer at all stages, at as many stages of their cancer journey as we can help them in, because even in stages like recovery, they are faced with all kinds of negativity. Prior to starting Project Cheer Up, I had shaved my hair off for Hair for Hope, and I went on to do that the next year as well after going ahead and creating Project Cheer Up. So as of today, Project Cheer Up focuses on, we have a campaign called Cheer Up Kids, which is essentially about bringing positivity and joy to these to children who have recovered from cancer, at least as of now through Zoom sessions because of the restrictions due to the pandemic, but otherwise in person as well, and just having conducting these activities that make them happy. We've also started this thing called the Mini Initiative Activator, which gives you the platform to use your talents and passions to help make a difference in the lives of these children. So apart from my work with the Future Leaders program, so that is the work that I do with Cheer Up, I'm also actively involved in visual art, and I do a bit of musical theater as well.
Wow, welcome Ira, and great work through your Project Cheer Up. And it takes a lot of courage to actually shave off your hair, and just shows how passionate you are about the cause of fighting for children with cancer. So great to have you on the panel. Welcome. Next, let's listen to Nikita.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikita Nambiar, and I'm a rising senior at the International School, Bangalore. So I've been on a wonderful journey for the past almost 3.5 years with the 1M1B Foundation, and I started my nonprofit organization, the Project Fresh Start, as a future leader. So the Project Fresh Start basically revolves around removing the stigma surrounding taboo members of our society. So we started with rehabilitating and skilling incarcerated women, first at Tumkur Jail, and then we expanded to Central Jail, where we work with over 80 women. Art, specifically Tangier art, as a rehabilitative tool. The second, so we like to think of it as being a two-pronged approach, with this being the first prong. And the second prong is helping the trans community. And this is actually a new initiative we started in the past 6 months following COVID. So what we've been able to recognize is that a lot of members of the trans community were not able to make enough money to buy their meds, and a lot of them were immunocompromised. So they were not able to buy their life-saving medication, which is a horrible position to be in. So I was inspired to help them, or help alleviate the pain that they were going through. And we started a fundraiser, and we started this as the second chapter of the project Fresh Start, where we were able to raise over 2.5 lakhs for this initiative and supply over 20 trans women with the required medicine for whatever ailments that they had. And this long journey of 3.5 years that I've been having with the 1M1B Foundation has been the 3 best years of my life. And I, like Ira said, I'm also a creative. I'm more of a creative person. I do dance. I try music and art and stuff. And yeah, that's a little bit about me and my project. If any of you are interested in knowing more, you can definitely visit our website. It's www.theprojectfreshstart.com, and you can send us inquiries through that channel as well. Thank you.
Great, excellent work, Nikita. As a youngster, as a teenager, working with incarcerated women in Bangalore, I mean, that's amazing. And of course, you've been one of our first future leaders along with Sanjana. And incredible to have you on the journey and see your growth and the opportunities you have got and how you have handled them. Great, welcome, and great to have you on the panel, Nikita. All right, Sanjana, let's listen to you next.
Hi, my name is Sanjana Tari Gokula. I was part of the Future Leaders program alongside Nikita. And I have also been on nearly a 3.5-year journey developing my project Divyang. And basically, Divyang facilitates support group meetings for the friends and families of people diagnosed with autism, while simultaneously spreading autism awareness through awareness meetings. And I'm honestly really passionate about my project, which is, I think, why I've been able to continue it for like 3.5 years. But I think a better way to explain my project would be through what I like to call my scorecard, because I don't think numbers lie. So this is like a little bit of a brag sheet, but I think so far, my project Divyang has directly impacted the lives of 350 plus people around the world. We have 3 corporate sponsors backing this project, and around the world, we have a group of over 150 volunteers making this project completely self-sustainable. So even if I'm not there, or if I decide to just shift to Timbuktu or something tomorrow and not work on Divyang, which is really unlikely, but even if I decide to do that, Divyang can continue on its own, and we can continue giving back to the autistic community so that people diagnosed with autism can be treated as equal and valued members of society. Now, apart from my work with autism and with Divyang and all of that, I dance as well, like Nikita. I think that's my creative outlet. I don't really have much other talent, but in my free time, I like eating food. I like sleeping. I like procrastinating. Okay, but yeah, I feel I'm a really extroverted person. I really like talking to people. I really like getting to know people. So if any of you listening to this right now want to get in touch with me or something, you can visit divyang.net and just send me an email through that, and we can definitely get contacted. Otherwise, you can just find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to forward the conversation there as well. But yeah, that's about me.
Well, again, Sanjana, very passionate and great impact through your project. So, of course, after you create so much impact, especially for social good, why not brag a little, right? It's not every day that you see teenagers create so much impact. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
And finally, on the panel is Rishi. Rishi, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Rishi, and I'm 15 years. I'm from Hyderabad, and I'm a 1M1B future leader, and I presented my project Swayam Krishi in the 2019 Activate Impact Summit in the United Nations headquarters in New York. My project is Swayam Krishi, which means self-help. So I created this project in my village to help farmers, because farmers take more than 6 months to generate a source of income, and this income is being completely destroyed by natural calamities or pests. And I thought, what are farmers good at and villagers good at that can create a secondary source of income for them? And village and farmers in my village especially are incredibly good at making sweets and pickle. So I thought this could be a way of generating them a source of income. So I've started with about four ladies from the farm families, and they started developing only four products. And now we are trying to expand the amount of products that are there, and now we are more than 45 people who are developing the products. Apart from Swam Krishi and my project, I love wildlife photography, I love birds, and I enjoy nature a lot.
Wow, great to hear your work, Rishi. And tell us, recently you received an interesting award as well, right?
Yeah, so apart from Swam Krishi, I'm also part of another project called Akshara Vikasam, which is providing complete 100% free education to students in my community, underprivileged students in my community. So me, along with my amazing grandfather, we started this program about 6 years ago, and I volunteered. And for this two projects, I received the Diana Award, which is a prestigious award in the memory of Princess Diana herself, which is a very, very great achievement for me. And it feels amazing to be recognized for what projects I've done.
Wow, that's incredible, Rishi. In fact, winning the prestigious Diana Award. That's great work, with the Future Leaders Project and the other initiatives you're doing. Keep up the good work going. All right,
Thank
great to have all four of you on the panel. Let's get started with our discussion for today. And to all the guests who have joined in live on YouTube, we are doing it on YouTube Live for the first time. So in case you have joined in, you can ask your questions directly. There's a live chat option on YouTube. You can just click that, and you might just need to log into your Gmail ID to ask your questions. So look forward to having an interactive session with all the discussions. All right. So now let's start with the question. My first question is to all four of you, and you can take turns answering this. My question, since we are dealing with youth skills, is what do you consider your biggest skill? Who wants to go first?
I would like to start.
Sure, Rishi, go up, and then Sanjana. Yeah.
Okay, so I consider my biggest skill is to be understanding. I put myself into other people's shoes, and I understand their situation and their problems. And with this skill, I know when to ask a question, how to ask a question, and how to persuade someone. So with my project, I was able to understand the farmer problems because I come from a farmer family, like probably most of you are. And I was able to understand the intensity of the problems that they face. And I was able to put myself into their shoes and understand what questions can I ask them and how can I persuade them into being a part of my project, which is a completely new thing to them, and they don't know how beneficial, like how good this could be for them. And fortunately, I was able to persuade them, and I was able to create enough income for women in the family and the entire family for 2 months, and they were able to use this money for their daily and monthly needs. And this was only in the first 100 days of sales. And now, with my skills, of course, I was able to do this. And
I must say that's a great skill. In fact, you have, Rishi. Sanjana, let's listen to your skill.
I think my biggest skill is probably my leadership. And that might sound again a little bit braggy, so just let me just clarify that. I think being a leader, especially during right now, like when there's a pandemic going on and everything, the real leaders come to light. And I feel like in society in general, you always need somebody who can take charge and truly like drive something forward. And I think that's probably my biggest skill, whether it's being a leader in the classroom or whether it's being a leader for my project or for my little brother or even for myself, just taking that initiative and driving whatever I pick up, just driving it to the max possible potential as a leader. I think that's probably my biggest skill. So yeah, I think leadership, and that's definitely been highlighted through the Future Leaders program.
Great. So we have leadership skills here. Okay. Next, Nikita, you can go ahead next.
Yeah, I'll go next. So I like to think that COVID has taught me how to multitask. I have so many things going on at the same time that, it's with IB deadlines and school homework and managing multiple projects that I'm doing at the same time, multitasking has become my forte. And I mean, the basis of that is just learning how to schedule time every second of your day. And yeah, multitasking has definitely become a skill. So that's helped me, of course. And I think that it's a really good skill to have.
Uh, yeah, that's indeed. Multitasking is a big skill. I try to multitask and things go wrong. It's just so hard. So I definitely envy the skill that you have. Ira, what about you? What's your biggest skill?
I think I'd say that I'm creative because I've been involved in visual art for a really, really long time. And although initially this was just something that I saw manifesting in visual arts, it was something I could slowly see coming into all the other aspects of me as well. So I think that's something I see when I'm working on all kinds of group projects, that I'm able to sort of use a lot of creative thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, creativity, again, a big skill that can always help you, especially in these times when you're all stuck at home. We have a comment from Manav who says, being unreasonable and going beyond excuses is your biggest skill, folks. Yeah, I guess I tend to agree with that, with the kind of work you've done. Great to know all the skills that you possess and how you have put it to great use. My next question is specifically to Ira and Nikita. And talking about the new normal, what does the new normal mean to you? And what do you think is the biggest and most impactful change our world has seen in recent times? Ira, we can begin with you.
So at least for me, the new normal has been like a continually changing one, because in Singapore we've had various phases with reference to how the government's fighting the virus. So we've had our version of the lockdown. So we've had the circuit breaker. So I've been at home for 3 months. But as of now, my current new normal is just leaving home for school with a mask on, and then coming back just to attend a few Zoom calls for my extracurriculars. I'd say that the biggest challenge we've been facing is I think the biggest change we faced is definitely the situation of a lockdown or the circuit breaker, because it's just a very different experience altogether, and we've had to really adapt and work around it, and that's changed just a lot of how we normally function as a society, whether that's the way we communicate or through any other aspect of it.
And kind of stemming off of what Ira said, actually, normal is a very subjective term. Normal is constantly going to be changing, and what's normal to me might not be normal for the next person. So yeah, normal is constantly changing, and during this time, the new normal will create its own challenges. We'll have to require a new mindset, new skills. And if you look at it now, with everything being online, we have to actually learn how to adapt to this new normal. I mean, funny story, I'm not very technologically able. Just hopping onto a Zoom call was so difficult for me at the beginning of quarantine. But these are skills that we need because the future is going in this direction. But what's the biggest and most impactful change that's come out of this? I definitely think it's the sea of opportunities. Now with everything being online, it's so much easier to find online opportunities, internships. There are students who are doing research online. There are students who are doing apprenticeships online, and these are all great things. Everything being online has taken you one step closer to being a universal citizen, and I think, or global citizen. I think that's a great thing. That's a great normal. And see, we have had to rethink the way that our lives have been up till now. And that rethinking brings innovation. And innovation is the future. And innovation is in the hands of us youth as well. So I think that's a new normal to me. That's very subjective, but that's what I like to think the normal as being.
Very well put, Nikita and Ira. In fact, a lot of comments coming in for introduction. Congratulations and hats off to a great work, great enthusiasm and commitment. Our future is in good hands thanks to these teenagers who are doing some amazing work. So yeah, I think you guys can be proud of it, all the work that you're doing. Continue with our chat. My next question is to Rishi and Sanjana, and the question is, considering the situation we are in the lockdown, quarantine for the last couple of months, rather more than a couple, last 4-5 months now, and during this time, have you felt that there are certain skills that the youth don't possess today, and what do you think are some of the skills that youth don't have today and which they need to cultivate in the upcoming future?
Definitely, sir. Definitely, there are a lot of skills that we don't have. And this pandemic was truly an eye opener about important skills that we should have, in fact. And one of these skills would be maintaining a good health, not only physically, but also mentally. So during this hard time and a lot of free time too, I've decided to reduce the amount of time I'm spending on electronic devices, apart from the classes, of course. So I started concentrating on my physical health and also mental fitness by starting yoga early in the morning. And apart from this, I've also learned that at least putting 1 hour each day to of and doing something that we love and we're passionate about can actually cleanse your mind. So like going out and going for a walk or going cycling or practicing photography is some things I love to do. And if you do this for 1 hour, it will help you not to burn out. It will help you not to stop focusing on what you're already doing. So your classes or studying or your projects. So giving 1 hour of your time to do something you love, which is perfectly fine. You can do this, and this will truly cleanse your mind, and will you will be calm and tranquil the rest of the day.
Right. I think taking that step back, when things are really busy and busy lives, you don't think about it, you don't reflect. And I'm glad that you got some time to, actually reflect on it, learn some new skills, yoga, calm your mind, the importance of mental health. Great use of your time, Rishi. Sanjana, what about you? What do you think are the skills that youth lack today?
I think that making like a generalization that like youth as a whole like lacks a particular skill might be a little bit unhealthy. But I do think that one skill that's come into a very, very heavy use, especially right now, is emotional intelligence. Because I mean, like Nikita, Iran, Rishi, all of them have mentioned that like technology is so important right now. Like we're having this because of technology, right? But I think, and this is something that I've always been a super passionate advocate for, is emotional intelligence in the world of artificial intelligence. And let me just clarify, right? Like, let me just take the example of my household. I live with my mom, my brother, and my dad, and all of us, it's just the four of us. I live in a nuclear family, and I get sick of them very often. Especially during the time of the pandemic, all of us just seem to be so like volatile. So really taking a step back and understanding that everybody you're with is also a human being, and trying to understand them with empathy instead of saying like, oh no, why aren't you supporting me, why aren't you listening to me? Like, no, step out of yourself, be a little bit emotionally intelligent, and understand why a particular person is reacting in a particular way. So that's why I think that emotional intelligence is a really, really crucial skill that's needed by not just the youth, by everybody, I think. And just again, building off of that, I might be rambling a little bit, but just hear me out. I think that with youth, I may just be projecting my feelings onto everybody else, but I think that me as a person, I never used to like spend much time with my family or like with my parents, especially. And because I always like to like throw myself into the hustle. Like I love working. I just love working. So I think quarantine especially has taught me, like Rishi said, to take a step back and spend time with your family, spend time with your parents, because eventually things will change. Like, so I think just appreciating the time that you have now and treating everybody with respect and with empathy is something that's really, really important.
I think both of you spoke on a similar lines, and Sanjana, I liked your, idea about mixing emotional intelligence with the artificial intelligence bit of it. And yeah, I think it's a time which allows us to step away from all the hustle and spend time with family and reflect on what's important. Where do you need to put on more time on? Well said, and and I'm sure for all of you in 10th grade, 12th grade, it's not easy, managing your time with a lot of activities, academics, etc. So my next question, in fact, again to all four of you here is, what do you think are some of the important skills that youth need to cultivate to succeed in the post-pandemic world, or rather the new normal as we call it?
I can go first
Okay,
because
sure.
this is sort of like related to my previous answer. I may be just like advocating this way too much, but I don't think there's any such thing. I think that emotional intelligence is definitely a skill that's needed in the post-pandemic world, in our world in general. Like there's no right time to have emotional intelligence. I just feel like everybody should try cultivating that. But in conjunction with having emotional intelligence, I also think that we should pick up the skill of pivoting quickly. And I like to say this a lot, right? I think the only constant in our world is change. And being able to embrace that change instead of trying to fight it is what's really, really important. Like, things can change tomorrow. There may be like no lockdown tomorrow, or like the entire world can like just be wiped out tomorrow. What are you going to do about it? Like, just taking everything in your stride, rolling with the punches, and never feeling demotivated by change, instead just embracing it. I think that's something that's genuinely really important. And I think that'll help, again, not just the youth, but everybody in general.
So emotional intelligence and everything could be
Yeah.
two very interesting, skills that you shared. Thanks, Sanjana. Nikita, what do you think?
I like to think so. Leadership and communication, especially for me, those are two really important skills that we need. Not during the post-pandemic world. We just need them in general. Now think about it. We have been thrust into a world of chaos, and within the last 6 months, we've been seeing every single thing change. Everything about our lives has changed, and from that, we need strong youth leaders who will be able to carry out a future that we can't even imagine right now, a future that we have to look towards. I mean, just think about it. If we don't take up a leadership role assuming that someone else will take it on, then you wouldn't have Sanjana, you wouldn't have Rishi, you wouldn't have Ira, or any of the other amazing future leaders that we have today. So leadership is definitely something that is, yeah, I think I find it really important. I think that we should try to take up leadership roles, however it may be. Going back to what Sanjana said before, even being a leader to yourself, being a leader to your family, that is so crucial, and it really shapes who you are, especially for all the students out there. Taking on leadership roles, regardless of what it is, shapes the type of person you're going to become. Now, communication. Leadership and communication go hand in hand. And see, explicit communication is really important to avoid misunderstanding. It's not just in a workplace, in a classroom, but it's misunderstanding with what you're doing. You have to understand yourself properly as well to be a good leader. And if you think about how during this post-pandemic world, actually, a lot has changed. As I said, everyone's online, so communication could mean, when you're drafting a message, making sure you're using the same right punctuation, trying not to use emoji as much in formal messages. I know that we've now come into a habit of using emojis as our means of communication, but when you're, say, writing a message to your teacher, we can't do that, right? And body language, when you're on a Zoom call, when you're on an online call, the way that you carry yourself is also really important, goes hand in hand with communication. So leadership and communication are definitely two skills that I think that we should start working towards inculcating, and I think they're really important as well.
Well said, Nikita. You know how leadership and communication is something all four of you have in fact displayed over the years and shown how important it is. Ira, let's listen from you. What do you think are the skills that youth require?
I definitely say that in a post-pandemic world where we'd probably be met with more problems resulting from the pandemic that would probably affect us at many different scales, I'd say that creativity and problem solving would probably be very, very important skills. But that being said, I feel creativity and problem solving are very, very interconnected, and I'll go into that in a bit. So definitely at this time, we're going to face many more challenges, and finding lasting solutions to them is very, very important. And that's where problem solving comes into place. And that would really involve looking at a deeper level into the problem and looking at underlying causes and underlying issues within a problem. I think just giving it, going into a lot of analysis, giving it a lot of thought, a lot of brainstorming, and then finally arriving at this very well thought out solution. I think that's a very important, that just sort of encompasses what problem solving does involve. And moving on to creativity, I think there's always been this notion that creativity is something that comes from the arts. But I honestly feel that's just one of its expressions. And the very essence of creativity is actually problem solving. So I think creativity is just about looking at this alternative perspective and resorting to unconventional yet effective methods, and just a lot of exploring that eventually leads you to think outside the box. I feel that when it comes to creativity, it isn't this one perfect idea, but just one unique idea that comes as a result of many messy ones. So, and as Sanjana mentioned, change is going to be the only constant. And to really cope with this change, I think creativity and problem solving would be very, very important.
Right. Well said. Thanks for that, Ira. And you already said, how you have used creativity, in fact, and to solve some problems that you really wanted to address. Rishi, how about you?
Yeah, so adding on to Nikita, like she was saying, how communication is very important. How are we communicating right now? Through technology, through laptops and Zoom meetings. So it's incredibly important for this generation and everyone for that matter to be tech savvy. Tech savvy isn't being good with technology, it's being quick with technology. So currently the online classes is new to everyone. It's new to the students, it's new to the teachers. And we have to take this time to teach ourselves to be proficient with technology, to be quick with it, like I said. We have the internet in our fingertips now, and learning new things is extremely easy now. Even after the pandemic, we need to be able to organize groups, organize group meetings, organizations with tools like G Suite or Zoom. Apart from being tech savvy, we need to be thorough with data literacy. Currently, data is the most important thing for almost any company in the world. An application like, for example, Netflix. Netflix can create a list of movies based on the movies or TV shows that you've seen already with simple algorithms. And data literacy is different from data. You can't be, your company cannot be good in interpreting what the audience needs by having more data. But if the company has more data literacy, then they can. Because, for example, the title of the Netflix movie that the audience is watching will not tell what other movies that he might like, but the genre of that particular movie will. And with the right knowledge of data literacies, companies, NGOs like our projects, and other organizations can reach out to huge populations in India and spread out our wings and reach out to many people so that they can also be a part of these programs and also take part in these programs. So I think
Well,
data.
well said, Rishi. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, two important points that you shared, Rishi. Tech savviness and data literacy. I mean, all of us, we like it. We like tech or not, we need to use tech today, especially students, teachers, and everyone who's working. Using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and other softwares, etc. And digital. The world is going to be digital. The future is digital. And
Yeah.
for that, data literacy again is very important. We, as we call it, data is a new oil, and everything depends on data. Businesses, how you're going to perform, even your school data is very important. So understanding that data and learning how to deal with it, that is again very important. And I'm quite happy how the points that you mentioned: emotional intelligence, pivoting quickly, leadership, communication, creativity, tech savviness, problem solving. All these are future skills, or the fourth industrial revolution skills, as we call it. And we are addressing many of these through the Future Leaders program, the 101B as well. And as you can, rightly advocate all four of you. So very happy to hear that. Just continuing with this kind of, same discussion before we get into a few questions from the audience. How can youth build some of these skills, like you mentioned, like, leadership, problem solving, collaboration, creativity, etc. And these skills are also very important in school curriculum, like the CAS in IB and the SEVA program in CBSE. How can students build these skills from home? Probably, Ira, you could answer this.
So I think definitely the best way to develop these skills is obviously immersing yourself in opportunities that help you develop them. But if I was to point at one, I would definitely say that starting your own social initiative or being actively involved in one or taking some sort of a leadership position really helps you develop a lot of these skills as well as implement them. And I personally feel that there's no better time to go ahead with a social initiative than the current situation, because many of the existing problems have just become a lot worse because opportunities like a lot of volunteers haven't been able to go and deliver the kind of work that they used to before, and inequalities have worsened, and the pandemic has also brought out like its own set of global issues, and that definitely gives you a lot to address. But I feel when it comes to creating these social initiatives or just really developing these skills during the lockdown, I think the first thing a lot of us think of almost immediately are the kind of restrictions we would face. And we really start focusing on the challenges, and that's when all the excuses come in, and we don't really go ahead with them. So I think just the first step is making that shift in mindset and looking at the lockdown or the circuit breaker or the kind of restrictions that you have because of the pandemic as an opportunity for you to do more and develop skills rather than some sort of a restriction? I would say probably one of the best ways to build these skills is taking up opportunities that you aren't very comfortable with or particularly challenging ones. So let's say you're not very comfortable with public speaking, something like an online MUN would help you develop this. And I particularly feel very strongly about taking up opportunities that are a challenge to you or really push you out of your comfort zone, because they give you that additional push towards developing that skill at the end of it. And I think it also gives you a lot of room to take risks, which leads into a lot of these other skills that we've discussed. So because taking risks is a huge part of pivoting quickly and creativity as well. So my overall advice is the first step is just making that shift in mindset from looking at the pandemic or the circuit breaker as an opportunity rather than a challenge. And I think over the past 1 month, I've read a lot about the kind of work that's being done through the Future Leaders program, and all the future leaders back in Bangalore and Hyderabad who've been creating impact despite the restrictions by the lockdown. So it's definitely not impossible.
Right. So very, very well put, Ira. Rather than look at the pandemic or the restrictions to bog us down, look them as challenges and look them as opportunities through these challenges, right? And that's what all four of you have done, looking at the different challenges and looking at opportunities possible with them. And I have to say, thanks for mentioning Future Leaders program there. So at 101B, we're always trying to provide opportunities to youth to build their skills and make a positive impact in the world. We, of course, have our flagship Future Leaders program where you learn the future skills through working on your leadership project. You create positive impact in the community, and then you get to showcase your work at the Activate Impact Summit at the United Nations in New York. Along with that, a number of other opportunities also come up. But I'm also very happy to share that we are launching a Global Goals Challenge very soon to help achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Youth from across India can participate with the innovative solutions to this challenge, and we can also help you claim cash credits for your work as you do as part of Future Leaders and the Global Goals Challenge, because you're ideally working on a leadership or community project to create positive impact. So that's something coming very soon from us. I'm sure youth across India would be excited to participate and share your innovative ideas. So let's look at a couple of questions that come in from the audience. Okay, so there's one question from Laksh, and his question is, what has kept you all motivated during these challenging times? Who wants to answer that? Okay, Sanjana, go ahead.
I think, quite frankly, at the beginning of lockdown, I had zero motivation and I wasn't ready to do anything at all. But I think what's really, really helped me through lockdown and like maintaining a level of motivation is really like building a routine for myself. And that sounds so cliched, but like, trust me, like building a routine or like at least making like a to-do list for the next day of like, okay, I need to do this tomorrow. Let me just make a list of these things. So the next morning you feel like mentally prepared to get out of your bed and actually go achieve it. So for me personally, I love making routines. I love keeping myself organized. I get really fangirly about these things. So I like really on Google Calendar and stuff like that, I'll plan out my days and then I'll mentally prepare myself to do those tasks. And then one by one, I'll like tick it off of my whiteboard. And there's no other satisfaction like ticking things off of your whiteboard. I think that's ultimate satisfaction. But I think something that's kept me motivated through this entire pandemic situation has really been like building a routine.
I think, as you said, though it sounds cliched, it's very valid, because in the previous chat also we had a similar question, and I can't emphasize how much people have said having a routine, being organized is important. And like you said, I also have a to-do list with work, and every time I check it off, it feels good. I've achieved 5 or 6 of it. That makes sense. Rishi, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, just to add on, Sanjana, I couldn't have said it better than her. But like I said previously, taking 1 hour of your time to do something you love will actually avoid from you getting burned out. I'm having about 6 hours of classes, and sitting on the same chair for 6 hours is actually really tiring. And even though we're having breaks, you have to study for those classes again. And during this time, if you have a half an hour and an hour, you can go outside or spend time with your father cooking or your grandmother helping her out, which I enjoy doing. And at that time, you stop thinking about what classes were happening and whatever happened that day. And right after you finish and after you recall whatever you did that day, you then your brain is completely cleansed, and now you are in much more pleasant and calm mood, and you can continue your day without getting burned out.
Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah.
Rishi. It's not been easy for any of us sitting at home for these many months, and especially for you guys. School has been, it's a different idea about school, and suddenly it's all online. Like your online courses that you have, and it's good to hear how you have adapted to this. Yeah, Nikita.
Yeah, so just kind of amalgamation of what Rishi and Sanjana said. But the real catharsis is, yes, checking off all those things from your to do list, and just taking 1 hour for yourself. And for me, that 1 hour was just spending time with my puppy. She gives me so much serotonin, and she that just 1 hour flies by, and she makes me so happy. So yeah, just find that thing that you really love. Spend 1 hour for it, and then go and do your work. And make sure that every like 45 minutes, since I have glasses, my eye power has increased like threefold during this time. I've been on my laptop the whole time. So just after every 45 minutes, I make sure to like stare at a blank wall and then look back and go into my work. But yeah, taking time for yourself definitely keeps you motivated, and just having a goal. Having a goal is the most motivational thing. And once you're able to complete that goal, each day have a goal that you want to complete. Once that's done, it's really the most motivational thing that you can do.
Well summed up, Nikita. In fact, I know all four of you have glasses, though Rishi and Sanjana have removed theirs. So I know, your power is also increased. It's something that everyone can relate to. Ira, a question for you from the audience is: what has been your biggest barrier during the lockdown, and how did you overcome it?
I think my biggest barrier during the lockdown was, first of all, keeping myself motivated towards actually working towards just the different things that I had. My IGCSEs were cancelled, so that was one big thing that I was working towards, just scrapped off. And when it came to cheer up, initially really, really confused about how to go about it, because a lot of these kids have slightly lower immunity levels. So anything in person would have definitely like risked that. But I think after exploring a few options, I was able to overcome that. But initially, it was obviously keeping myself motivated and changing that mindset of facing restrictions versus finding opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, great to see how you overcame that barrier and how you looked at the opportunities through it. Okay, going into the next question. Again, this is a question for all of you. How important are digital skills going to be for the youth, for the future of work in digital economy? How important are digital skills?
I would like to start, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Rishi.
So before this pandemic and anything started, we had to go across from our house. We had to go to different places to learn things. But now we have something great called online classes, and there's something called massive open online classes, also known as MOOC. And during this pandemic, I joined an MOOC by edX, which is part of Harvard, which is coding classes. They are providing coding classes, app making classes, an application and JavaScript, HTML, and a whole lot of things. And this is a great opportunity to take this time to improve our digital knowledge. So currently, all of us, there are only a few amount of jobs. I mean, there might be thousands, but that's still a few. In the future, we have to think what are the new things that are going to come up. Next generation transportation, artificial intelligence, and like data literacy companies, and also coding, more types of languages. And if you are able to learn, take this time and learn with the help of MOOCs, we can learn more about what we can do for our future. And apart from that, these MOOCs also provide certifications, which is great for college applications, of course. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to build off of what Rishi said. I think, see, me personally, I've never been like a computer science girl. Like, I've just never been like drawn or compelled to all of these like coding languages and things like that. But I do think I am a data nerd. I love the numbers, and I think the numbers don't lie. So let me just hit you with some numbers to just show how important genuinely digital skills are for the future. And like right now, right, on an average, nearly 1/3 of urban workers are using digital technologies at work, and nearly like 90% of the jobs in the European Union require some level of digital skills. And that number only increases as you go up to like managerial positions. Like it's nearly 98% at a managerial position. And not even that, like tens of millions of jobs for people with advanced skills are coming in the future years. And some of the economies are even predicting like a talent gap for some of the workers with advanced digital skills. In China, for example, 7.5 million out of 18 million information technology roles could go unfilled by 2020. While young people are often considered digital natives, and like I know that my parents, at least, they come to me for all of their like tech doubts and everything, the majority of them do not actually possess the sufficient like job related digital skills. So I think that this gap definitely like needs to be filled. And like Rishi said, I think there are many opportunities now for the youth. And I think that what we need to do is really like embrace those opportunities and sort of make ourselves more career ready.
Well put, both of you, Rishi and Sanjana, and those, the numbers that you put out, staggering. The amount of jobs that, of course, as I said, it's going to be the digital economy, and the skills gap it's quite evident. Nikita, what do you have to add?
So I think the crux of both what of both sorry, I think the crux of what both of them said is that we need innovation, right? And equipping young people, both those that are in and out of school, with either basic or advanced digital schools, it promises you that you're preparing for unprecedented job opportunities, especially in the digital economy. So like I said, this leads to innovation, and innovation is the key to the future. Innovation allows you to have higher productivity and competitiveness, and it also expands your markets and expands your access to work opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities. Now, I just want to give our audience a second to think, what would you want governments and organizations, or what would you like to do to increase digital skills? Just like a second. Right? Awkward pause later. Personally, I think that we should help equip millions of young people around the world with job-ready digital skills. Going off of what Sanjana and Rishi said, this is crucial. The next thing we can do is help encourage the creation of new job opportunities. And we do this in order to integrate more young men and women into the labor market and help digitalize economies. The final thing that I think is important is to help promote and enable environments where young people can learn to seize employment opportunities and entrepreneurship opportunities that are in the growing digital market. So I think these are really important, and yeah, it stems off of what Rishi and Sanjana said.
Ira, how about you? What do you think are the importance of digital skills for you?
I think definitely the points shared, but in addition to that, I feel that because there are going to be so many more jobs made available that require digital skills, I feel it's very important to make this a lot more accessible and equal to all groups of people rather than being something that's just accessible to a few smaller groups. I think particularly we'd have to look into equipping young women and young people with disabilities with these digital skills, because a lot of young women are often discouraged or aren't aware of the opportunities that digital skills probably hold in store for them. And a lot of young people with disabilities, they have a lot of problems finding employment. And I think just making digital skills a lot more accessible to them through all kinds of training programs would definitely help make digital skills a lot more equal, and it would just help it reach out to help make digital skills a lot more it would help more people have access to digital skills and therefore have access to more employment opportunities.
Rounded off really well with a very valid point, Ira. In fact, we're talking about digital skills, and in India, at least, we saw the issue faced with online schools, right? A lot of people who do not have access to it and are not prepared, there's no infrastructure. So when we talk about digital skills and future driven by a digital economy, it's important to make sure that's very inclusive for everyone, for people of all gender, of all race, of all class, of all economic backgrounds, and also to people with who are challenged and whom we call have disabilities. It's important that we include everyone into it, and of course the governments and the different private and government organizations, NGOs, everyone needs to step in to ensure the infrastructure is there, and all the resources required to succeed in a digital future is there. Very well put. I love the points shared by all four of you. um, a very personal question for you now, all four of you. What have you been doing during a lockdown and quarantine time to build your skills? And this was again a similar question asked on the comments as well. And also I also would like to know, have you been working on your projects or any other projects to make the world a better place? And what is the one skill you've personally cultivated during this period? Yes, Rishi, go ahead.
I would like. So first of all, I learned to cook, which is quite hard actually, and I learned coding, and it was quite interesting. I was learning from people studying in Harvard, which is quite a good experience. And apart from that, I started a new project thanks to my close friend who started the initiative. It's called Fika. Fika means taking a moment and appreciating. And basically, the idea of Fika is bringing stories about people facing problems against society, within society, and bringing them into enlightenment through social media, through the means of art, photography, and writing, like poetry. And apart from that, I'm still continuing my project Swayam Krishi, and because we were not able to get any sales and during this pandemic, I took this time, instead of wasting this time, I chose to reform the products. So we got a lot of customer reviews to make changes to the products, and I have made these changes with the help of the amazing people making these products. So I spent 2 months in my village, and I've spent my time reforming Swayam Krishi, and I've also added new products which will be coming again. And we started to make a plan for the future. So getting marriage orders for Swayam Krishi, which will bring a lot of income for these females, and which will be a great boon for them, especially during this pandemic, of course. And apart from that, I was able to enjoy time with nature in my village and with my cousins.
Wow, that's so inspiring, Rishi. In fact, I loved how you have adjusted to the changes with your project as well as started a new one. Love the ideology behind Fika, and how you have utilized this time at home and breaking the notion that the youth today, all they would do during the lockdown is just Netflix and chill. And I'm happy to hear that you've changed a lot of that.
Definitely too, sir.
Yeah, of course you need to do that. Of course you need to have your fun as well. It's not like we can do only the important things. Yes, who wants to go next? Nikita? Yes.
Yeah. So, like Sanjana, I'm a little bit of a busybody. I love the hustle, and so I can't imagine having like not done something during this lockdown time. So I've continued with my project, the project Fresh Start. We started the transgender chapter actually during this lockdown time, seeing the challenges that were faced by trans community members. Another thing that I've done is, so I've found that I'm very passionate towards neuroscience and psychology. So with a group of friends, I started a magazine for that called Mind Matters Magazine. You can also check that out if you guys are interested in it. And it's an article. It's a bunch of articles written by school students in my school at TISB. And the final project I've been working on is a really interesting, really amazing project with the 1M1B Foundation, where we have developed a COVID curriculum, which we're supplying to women healthcare workers and ASHA workers in rural communities in India, educating them basically about the skills they should have to combat COVID-19, to help take care of themselves. And it's really great. It's education, I feel, is the key to being able to flatten the curve in India, and the fact that I am able to take part in such an amazing project is literally a dream come true. And something I've been working on, actually, like a new skill that I've developed, is working on myself. That's something I didn't really prioritize for a long time, but I've realized that I need to take care of me. My body is a temple, and it's high time that I started realizing that. And so I've taken time, yeah, to just make sure that I'm eating well, sleeping well, making sure I'm relaxed, because IB does have little bit of stress to it. So making sure that I don't get too stressed out, don't burn out, like Rishi said. Spend 1 hour with my dog, spend out like time working on my magazine, just taking time for myself. Yeah, that's been my lockdown kind of
Yeah,
timetable.
that's nice. Taking care of yourself. That's important. And of course, I know about the work that you're doing as part of the COVID curriculum through 1M1B for the villages and to stop the spread of COVID. I think it's a fantastic initiative. Requesting all viewers, to kindly support this project, because we are also looking at people who can help us and support, make a small donation. With just 500 rupees, you actually can make sure one person, one woman in the village is trained and becomes a COVID warrior. And looking at how the curve is just rising in India with over 55,000 plus cases a day, this is very important, because it's not just the cities, it's the rural areas where the availability of information and healthcare facilities is limited, and we need this kind of an initiative. And if you're really interested in supporting us, please do let us know. Happy to put you in touch with Nikita and the others who are working on this project. And Ira, tell us.
So I managed to go back to Project Cheer Up and move it entirely online. So now all the activity sessions, they're taking place on Zoom. And over the course of the circuit breaker, I managed to devise like this 4-point plan that really helps Cheer Up remain online. And there's this new focus that we've had on activity handouts, because a lot of like in-person volunteering isn't possible at the moment. And now Cheer Up, actually, we managed to expand the team, and we have a lot more people handling the different aspects of it. So we have people working on the design aspect of it and people working on resource creation. And that's just helped us keep Project Cheer Up together. And I think this was just a good refresher of all the skills I had like learned during the Future Leaders program. And apart from this, I also managed to get in touch with Kriti, a future leader from Bangalore. She was on the last live chat. So, and she was also working on childhood cancer, and her project was centered around funding the treatment of children with cancer who fall below the poverty line. And we got together and we started working on a new project called the Happiness Heart Project. So as a part of this, we hope to make hospitals and treatment spaces just more positive and friendly and colorful, to just sort of help in the child's overall mental well-being, as well as simultaneously funding their treatment through a lot of collected art. And apart from this, because I was going to be entering IB1, and I was planning on taking art, I started familiarizing myself with a lot of design software. And because of that, I was able to contribute to a lot of school clubs, and as well as a few social initiatives through the more design aspect of it. So that was really fun. And other than that, I think just working on the three of these have really changed my perspective on what is possible, considering the kind of challenges that COVID had placed on me. Yeah.
Okay, that your project is really inspiring, Ira, and to see that you're collaborating with somebody else and starting the Happiness Heart project, that's even more inspiring now. Great work, and good to see. It's with the lockdown and with restrictions, especially in Singapore. I know the issues that you face, the difficulty, and seeing you go online and challenge that. That's very inspiring to know. The next question I have is probably Sanjana, you can answer this. Is there a skill you never thought twice about or used before or took for granted, like we all do, but always had the skill and which has been of use in recent times?
Yeah, for sure. I think that there are definitely like a lot of skills that we've taken for granted, like all of us, not just me, right? Like all of us have taken a lot of skills for granted. But I think the pandemic has really like posed as an opportunity to like really hone those skills or to pick up new skills. And I think one such skill is, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I love talking and I can talk for hours and hours on end. So I think a skill that I've pretty much always had was being an effective communicator. And I think that skill has become really essential, especially in recent times, because now we live in like the text message generation. Like we can send out a text message and like get a job done. But the thing is, when you have so much going on digitally, it's really easy to misread some messages, or it's really easy to just draw your own conclusions from what somebody is posting on Instagram or something like that. So really having effective communication can help you like get the job done. And I think that that's something that's really important. And again, tying that back into like what I've done over like quarantine and things like that, like I feel like right now, because all of us are like completely living our lives online in a sense, it's really important to understand what's going on in the space and effectively communicating what you're doing in the space. Because I think right now it's really easy to misinterpret things that people are posting. Like you can think that, oh, okay, she's posting like she's like having so much fun with her family and things like that, and you can automatically just like pull yourself down and think, oh no, why am I not doing this much? Why am I not being able to do this? And you can sit back and like throw yourself a pity party and just be like, oh no, I'm not able to like do anything. But I think what's important is that you need to like snap out of it and you need to stop making excuses for yourself. Like, this is the digital age, fine, it is what it is, but roll with the punches. And instead of sitting back and becoming complacent, I think you should really push yourself and just do whatever you can. Because I think that's something that's really, really important. Like being able to roll with the punches, and instead of just like making excuses for yourself, sort of just coming out of that and pushing yourself every single day. While again, like Nikita and Rishi have stressed, taking a break for yourself, but I think stop making excuses for yourself. That sounds so mean, but like, yeah, stop making excuses.
No, it doesn't sound mean. Stop making excuses and get things done. The Nike ad, just do it, right? So it makes sense. And of course, I think all of us and all the viewers will definitely say that you do love talking, and we can see that. Good question from the audience, from Rishan. What are some of the fun stuff you guys do online? Who wants to answer that? Maybe one of you could answer. Yeah, Rishi, go ahead. Rishi, and then Nikita, you can answer.
So initially, when our Zoom classes started, only you were only able to see the teacher, and you were not able to talk with any of your friends or any of the classmates. And I joined a new school after 11 years staying in the same school, and I knew no one. And after this, I got into contact with a few people, and I was able to talk to them, and it was quite fun to get to know new people after living in school with the same group of people for 11 years. So that was probably the most fun thing I've done.
Yeah, but listening to it, it kind of sounds kind of scary for me as well. After 11 years you switch school during the pandemic, having no live face-to-face interaction with anyone, and you're the odd one out. But yeah, I think that's fun as well. How you handle that and meeting those people. Nikita, you have to share something.
Yeah. For me, I think what's helped me keep sane is working on my magazine, the neuroscience magazine that I was talking about before. Yeah, just delving into it. I'll spend hours working on that because I really enjoy it. And another one is obviously Netflix. I've watched an unhealthy amount of Netflix in the past 3 months. I've finished watching Money Heist probably 50 times. So yeah, Netflix is my go-to if I'm not working on my magazine. Just immediately gets rid of all my stress.
Okay, so those are very stress busters, and I've been hearing great reviews about Money Heist. Started watching it, still need to complete it. I need to push myself to watch it and finish it. Okay, continuing with Nikita, next question is to you. We spoke about skills, but coming out of trying out these skills rather than just theoretical skills, it's quite evident that practical knowledge will rule over theoretical knowledge in the future, and we are witnessing that. We had a future leader, Laksh, last year, who did an incredible project on providing micro internships and apprenticeships to youth in the villages. And it was incredible to see that many of the job opportunities that's there, like web designing or photography, these are things that the youth in the villages did not know about as career options. These could just be pastimes, what they thought. And the impact was incredible. So my question, Nikita, to you is, do you think quality internships and apprenticeships will play a huge role in the future?
I definitely do that. And I mean, Laksh is here with us today. So thanks, Laksh, for joining us on the call. His project really is important because I like to think that apprenticeships and internships help shape the future that you're going to have. Personal anecdote of mine. I thought for a very long time that maybe biotechnology was something I was interested in, mainly because it sounded very cool. Biotechnology has all that jazz around its name. but I didn't really know what it was. So in ninth grade, I did a few labs in biotechnology, and I realized that, you know what, that's maybe not what I want to do. I did an internship, and I was able to understand that that's not the path that I want to go into. Then I got to know about neuroscience, and I've been working under a few professors there, and this has solidified my interest. So yes, apprenticeships and internships are vital, and it really helps you get a sense of a possible career path that you'd be going into. This is especially important for rising seniors like me, or high schoolers, because it gives you a taste of possible majors, the future that you're going to shape, basically. Now, coming to a more modern take on this, it's right now, seeing the climate that we're in, it's very difficult to find in-person internships, and I think there is a difference between in-person and online internships. But because of the changing the situation, so many things have gone online, so many apprenticeships, so many internships, that I think that regardless of whether it's in person or not, students should strive to take those up, because it will help you, I promise you, in that sense. And yeah, there are many students who are doing online research programs. They're doing online research internships for huge companies as well. So I think it's important that we explore those opportunities, and it really does help give. It's like an effective mechanism that addresses skill mismatch, so to say, and it helps enable young students, young people like me and the panelists here today, to make a successful transition from school to work.
Very, very well said. Valid point, Nikita. In fact, how like your personal story, right? How trying out something and getting introduced to something new, which you were not very sure about, piqued your interest, and now you're curious at looking at that as a career option. So that's great to know that, and I think it's very, very important. At least all of us in the cities have access to these different opportunities, but at least in the rural areas where people are neglected and youth don't have opportunities, internships could be important. It's not just about theoretical knowledge, but getting hands-on during the apprenticeship and proving your skill. I think very important, and I think people across the world will agree to it, especially in countries like India, developing countries like of Africa, in South America. Very, very important youth apprenticeships. Um, Moving a little bit from apprenticeships, Rishi, I would like to ask you, moving to entrepreneurship now from apprenticeships. Do you think youth entrepreneurship is another skill youth can look at developing? If yes, how does youth entrepreneurship help in the larger context?
Definitely, sir. So youth entrepreneurship is what most of the future leaders did, including me. And you have you have to have enough skills. You have to have the skill to create a project. In my case, create a project for a cause, and you have to create it in such a way that the product is at the right price for it to be attractive to the users, and also for it to be beneficial and making a profit for the people. And doing this, it's not that easy. So first of all, especially for youth entrepreneurship, taking advice from elders, taking advice from the experienced is quite important. And by doing this, because after doing this, we also have to develop skills to make the project and create a proper goal for the project. So my goals initially for my project was to make it sustainable, make it scalable, and make it a business model. So for it to be sustainable, I have to create groups for the people who are developing the product, and have to make group leaders. And these group leaders should be able to take care of the money transactions, and other people of the group leaders who are of my age maybe can take care of the website or the orders. And because people in the village do not really speak English, children of the family who do speak English can translate it to their family, and creating all complete cycle and making it completely self-sustainable. So even if I'm not there in the picture, tomorrow or day after, they should be able to take care of the project and the program by themselves. And with this, I can make the project a business model. So when this is completely self-sustainable and scalable, this could be replicated in any village around the world. And apart from that, again, making it scalable, taking the project to the next level. So marriage orders is a huge thing in India, and one single marriage order, they invest up to 7 to 8 lakhs only for sweets, because it's a custom in India to give a box of sweets to the people who visited the marriage. And to get an order like this for Swayam Krishi is a huge step from making 1 lakh in 100 days to making 7 to 8 lakhs in less than 2 weeks. And of course, with all of this, the main part is making a change. So this pandemic is incredibly tough for large amount of people in India. Farmers, 70% of India's population is farmers. So people in the family now in Swayam Krishi, not only the male members of the family, but the female members of the family are also the breadwinners, and the youth of the family need to learn youth skills and be an entrepreneur themselves to make a change in this world.
Wow, spoke like a true entrepreneur there, Rishi. Project being scalable, sustainable, and having a business model. And you have, in fact, showcased that. I think very well said. Very important to you for youth to learn entrepreneurship skills, because we're all looking at a time when there are job cuts happening. There's a lot. There's probably impending a recession coming on. The youth population of the world is at all-time high, and rather than just be looking for jobs, it could be job generators, and that's what youth can look at. And entrepreneurship is a very important skill that can help you throughout your life as well. So hopefully, youth across the world are inspired by projects like how you guys are doing, and take up entrepreneurship seriously and come up with incredible positive stories. Let's take a question. Yeah, I think we are past 1 hour, so not an issue. We'll just end in a while. So let's take a couple of questions. Guys, according to you, what is good online and what is bad online? Any suggestions for parents as they deal with youth online? Maybe one or two of you could answer this. Sanjana, do you want to try? Okay, Nikita, go ahead first.
Yeah, so I think what's good and bad online is definitely, again, a subjective debate. But what I have noticed is it's very distracting. The internet in its whole, it's very distracting. So being able to manage these distractions alongside schoolwork is something that I think, especially younger students who are in middle school, they will need their parents' assistance, especially since this is their first really 6 hour long interaction that they're having with devices. So parents can guide them in that direction. And understanding the good and bad side of the internet is kind of a challenge, because there are definitely sites that you wouldn't want your you wouldn't want your children to interact with. And I definitely do think, though, that the internet is a gem that we have. There's so much knowledge, so much information that's there. It's like a data mine, basically, right? So I don't think it would be right to completely bar the usage of your devices, your child's devices. But I do think it's a good idea to put in a restriction, like I said, especially if your child is in middle school, a certain amount of time for, let's say, research purposes, and that kind of helps them reduce the deviation, right? Reduce distractions. And I think distraction is the main ill side of the internet. It is so easy to get distracted.
Right.
Sir, I would like to
Yeah, you can add.
And Nikita, she said very well, distraction is a huge problem in the internet. But apart from that, another equally large problem on the internet is safety. And so for Fika project, which me and a few of my friends started, we created an Instagram page and we wanted people to apply to be a part of the program. And people would be sending their applications. They would write, they would send their photographs that they've taken. They'd send their artwork, and in these applications, we don't know if that person is genuine. Fake accounts is a huge problem on Instagram or Facebook or any other social media handles now. And currently, because this project is a young project, it's only a month old, we decided to be safe, we decided to only take applications of people we directly or indirectly know. And also verifying if the content that they're putting is genuine and their original content. So doing plagiarism checks, and also safety. Apart from this safety, there's a lot of bullying online. And that's why our school, especially, they have decided to completely stop mics and chat between students. That might be, a tiny bit antisocial, but in that 45 minutes, if we are interacting with teachers and interacting with each other, we're wasting the teachers' time. So That's why for the students to not feel that we are not interacting at all, they've added 2 hours of other classes for asking questions from the teachers and interacting with the students. And I think safety is something that the parents also have to keep an eye on and make sure that the child's account is not being monitored, or it's not a public account in most cases at least.
Yeah. Well, very interesting and important point raised, Rishi. In fact, of online safety, especially for minors and teenagers and youngsters like you, and that's been a great concern. It was very unprepared. We all had to jump in. Although we're talking about online safety, it was quick. The schools had to react, and now I think it's getting a little ironed out. Online safety is being discussed, and how can we make it safer? And yeah, I think we only have upwards to go from here, because online safety is a big part of digital, literacy and digital economy ahead. Let's move to the next question from Rohit. It was nice to hear you talk about digital skills. What do you have to say about teenagers spending increasing amount of time indoors on social media and video games instead of outdoors? Who would like to answer that?
Who would like to answer that? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
afraid
Rishi,
to
I'm sure you do. You do spend a lot of game time on gaming, but tell me.
Of course, I do. But like I said, this quarantine, I've consciously made an effort to reduce the amount of time I'm spending on devices. So I've limited to less than an hour and slowly reduced it. And I was able, and this time I don't feel like using devices anymore. So I have a terrace garden that my grandfather maintains, which is filled with thousands of plants and over 300 species of plants, with birds and also kittens and complete nature. It's like a forest on the roof. And this actually got Hyderabad's Best Terrace Garden Award for 3 years continuously. So I'm spending my 1 hour, daily 1 hour up in the terrace, and it's actually truly cleansing my brain. And I'm learning, of course, using technology. I'm learning coding, and like everyone said, what they're doing in their free time. I think reducing screen time usage, keeping limits, and making sure you have to make an effort for yourself. It's not like your parents shouldn't be telling you. They should be telling you not to spend a lot of time, but it should be your initiative. You should spend less time in doing something that you like, apart from video games or watching movies.
Well answered, Rishi. So with that, I think we'll come to the end of the session, and we'll wrap up. Any more questions we can probably answer on the YouTube chat, post this live session. So thank you everyone for joining in. It was a great interactive session. I see it's 1 hour 10, 12 minutes we've gone. That's when I think it was an interesting session and a great discussion, great points shared by Nikita, Rishi, Sanjana, and Ira. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you guys. You've been very inspiring, and keep continuing the good work. And I hope youth across the world get inspired from you and take up these important skills to thrive in the new normal. So we'll catch you again sometime, some weeks later, on our next live session on YouTube or Facebook. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy your Sunday evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Bye-bye.